What's up, everybody? This is Dimitri. This is Kicking with D. Welcome to the channel. Now, this is my first YouTube video, so bear with me. I created this channel because I love MMA. I like to train, but I'm not doing that so much anymore, but I would like to do at least something to give back to the sport, and I think I'll have a whole bunch of nuanced takes, and I hope you like the content. So if you're liking it, just subscribe to me, give me a like, give me something to kickstart me, get me going, let's do it. Now, what I want to talk about is Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is the UFC heavyweight champ, and he's getting treated pretty bad lately by the UFC. I think it's pretty messed up how the UFC is doing him, but I think the way Tom handles it is absolutely atrocious. I actually, let's start with this. I actually kind of do not like Tom Aspinall that much because of how he handles situations. First, let's talk about Aspinall and the Eddie Hearn situation. Eddie Hearn is a big-time boxing promoter, and he basically became Tom Aspinall's manager, and now he's demanding that the UFC pays him more. And he doesn't want Tom Aspinall to fight anybody until the UFC pays him more. Which, yeah, makes sense, cool. But also, Eddie Hearn is in a big fight with Dana because they're in the boxing. Dana has entered the boxing space and is taking Conor Benn away from Eddie Hearn, yada yada yada. Anyways, so Chael said something along the lines that Eddie Hearn might just be using Tom Aspinall as a vehicle to frustrate and get mad with Dana mad at him. And I don't know if this is true or not, but definitely being a manager isn't his bread and butter, and most of his attention is going to be focused on boxing, and he's not managing anybody else from the UFC, just Tom Aspinall. So Eddie Hearn is demanding that Dana pays Tom Aspinall more money, and he's not going to fight until he gets paid more. The Weasel said something about Eddie Hearn might be trying to get Tom Aspinall to get out of his deal, which I don't know how that's going to happen. Like, Dana just said John Jones is retired, and he's not going to let John Jones out of his contract. The UFC is not just going to leave money on the floor. He's not going to let Tom Aspinall get out of his deal so he can go fight in Jake Paul's promotion and fight Francis Ngannou. Like, they're just not going to leave money on the floor and just like let big fights go off to other promotions. So I don't really understand how he's going to get Tom Aspinall paid more money, especially when Dana doesn't like him. He's taking all these shots at him. So I don't know what's up there. But let's start with Tom Aspinall. He was slighted by the UFC because he had the interim belt, but John Jones decided to fight Stipe and then not go back to the UFC and, doing all the John Jones things that he was doing. Yeah, boo-hoo. That was sad for Tom Aspinall. So Tom Aspinall wearing around and talking about John needs to fight me, putting up little ducks on the celebrity cam when like the UFC camera would pan to Tom Aspinall, he'd put up a little duck. He's just talking constantly on social media, and it became just a while where he's just talking and not fighting. And then his fans online is like, it just gives me like the woe is me energy, and I just felt like he's just like Tom Aspinall's always just like woe is me. I just feel the way he goes about things is just like annoying. He went for the longest time without taking a fight. It worked out for him in the end because he ended up getting the belt, but he didn't fight or anything. He was just kind of just whining online for the longest time. Beat an opponent and then got on the mic afterwards just to like, you got the cameras on you, you can state your case even louder now with bigger eyes on you that John Jones is ducking you. I want to fight John Jones. He's not coming back to the UFC because he's scared of me. Yada, yada, yada. Play all that shit, but do it like after you win a fight. Because the UFC is even doing this right now with Arman Tsarukyan. But Arman Tsarukyan is not just sitting there like, Ilya doesn't want to fight me. The UFC is doing this, doing that. Maybe he like did that like a little bit in the beginning, but no, he went on. He became like a social media star. He's had like 5 RAF fights. Like, he just started taking action, Okay, so Tom Aspinall, he's the heavyweight champion now. He's going to defend his belt against Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane pokes him in the eyes. He gets injured, which rightfully he should be mad about. But it's just like for the longest time he's just talking about I can't see. I know when the fight first happened, as soon as the eye poke happened, I could just tell by his body language. I was like, oh damn, he's not gonna go back out there. And that's not a big deal. If you didn't want to go back and fight again, that's cool. He only has, I think he had like 2 fights left on his deal or something like that. And this ends one of those fights. He's gonna go back and fight Ciryl Gane, so he still gets paid all the because at the time they weren't under Paramount, so he still gets paid all the pay-per-view points. So yeah, smart move. Okay, it's been almost a year now. I think it's been about 8 months. Tom Aspinall is basically, I don't know if he's still complaining about his eye, but he was complaining about it for the longest time. Now he's saying, because Eddie Hearn's saying that he's not going to fight anybody. But so here, and I say this because the UFC, the champion of the UFC and the UFC are technically business partners. They don't have the pay-per-view model anymore because they're with Paramount, but they're business partners. Ever since Tom got the belt, the only thing that he has done was whine about getting a fight with John Jones. He gets poked. He fought for about 2 or 3 minutes, got poked in the eye. Then he whines about how he can't see and about how the UFC didn't take care of his doctors and whine. He signs with Eddie Hearn, who's just had a dispute with Dana, and now Eddie Hearn is saying that Tom Aspinall doesn't want to fight and he's not going to fight unless you pay him more money. Also, like, even Tom Aspinall's dad was saying that, like, Tom Aspinall is going to box after this. So the UFC is just hearing, basically, Tom Aspinall's only fought for about 2 minutes, and then all he's done is just whine, complain, say that he wants to go fight boxing, and kind of just be a bad business partner. Which, yes, I agree that none of these situations were in Tom Aspinall's control, but how he reacts is within his control. Yes, I know that Dana White in the UFC is not doing the greatest job of promoting their fighters, but also Dana White in the UFC has also created the UFC into a very big marketing platform for the fighters to market themselves. And yes, the fighters shouldn't have to market themselves, but when Dana White owns the whole shebang, and this is kind of like how it's created, and you have other fighters who have actually taken advantage of this very, very, very well. I'm a Conor fan, so of course we're gonna bring up Conor McGregor. So let's backtrack. Conor McGregor popped off on the UFC scene, getting knockouts, calling his shots, just being bold, brash, and yeah, doing what Conor did. So Conor, once he's hitting pay-per-view, million plus pay-per-views all the time, and he started wanting equity in the company. Dana White didn't want to give him equity in the company, so Conor started building businesses around the UFC, like the Mac Life is Conor McGregor, Paradigm Sports, trademarking the name the notorious Conor McGregor, and it forces the UFC to interact with Conor as a business entity rather than just a regular fighter. His reach and everything he's saying is starting to become big, like its own media device. I mean, he does have a media device, Mac Life, Paradigm Sports, and he's able to basically just get a lot of power within the company. Not only with just having great performance, lots of ticket sales, but just creating narratives. I think that was super cool of Conor. I'm not saying everyone can be a Conor McGregor or anything, but bang, the blueprints there. I feel like the UFC has probably put boundaries in place so fighters don't get as big as Conor did and have that much power over them so they can run things how they want to run it. But even Sean O'Malley, even before he was the champ, he was making lots of money, branded himself well, and all that. Even Arman Tsarukyan is able to go and do what he's doing now based off the UFC platform. Now, Tom Aspinall is not using that platform to its fullest abilities. We just heard that he didn't get invited to the White House, and then I guess they hit him last minute and he was salty about that. Okay. So everything I just said, how Tom Aspinall is basically not being the greatest business partner, okay? If they're not inviting you, just make a statement to the media. Just say like, "Hey, put me in the White House card. I want to see who's fighting for the belt because I want to fight X, Y, or Z." Maybe you don't even have to say you want to fight X, Y, or Z. Just ask to be in the white card. They're gonna put you in there. Okay, I get you're upset that they didn't ask you, and you feel like it would be respectful of them too, which is true. But we already know the UFC doesn't it doesn't operate like how it should. It operates how the UFC operates, and I think it would be best to play the rules within inside the UFC's rules and like how they operate. If you ask to be there, they'll send you to be there. I just seen you on this boxing podcast. I forget the name of it. I'm gonna put it right down here. But he just said that he wants to fight Alex Pereira and whatnot. Okay, if you want to fight Alex Pereira, just call your shots. Ask to be at the White House. Like, at least, and it would make it seem like you're showing the UFC initiative, that you're trying to make fights happen, that you're interested, and not just like, woe is me, oh, John Jones is ducking me, John Jones is ducking me, oh, my eye, my eye, my eye. Like, just whining, giving 2 minutes of fighting, and then saying that you're not going to fight anybody till you get more money. Like, yes, the UFC doesn't want to fuck with you. Like, that's what it is. And especially since Alex Pereira has moved to the heavyweight division, he just signed a new deal and he's getting paid millions a fight. So since they're putting all that money already inside Alex Pereira, and Alex Pereira has a big following, puts on stellar performances, and he saved the UFC events multiple times, fighting three times a year, whether he's injured or not. Yeah, the UFC loves this guy, and it is very well deserved. And I probably feel like the UFC should probably back Alex Pereira over Tom Aspinall if we're speaking just on a business level. Who's going to bring in more money? Who's actively seeking out fights and just making waves in the UFC? Okay. Now, with that being said, I really do love seeing Tom Aspinall fight. I want him to stay in the UFC. I like seeing him fight. I am Maybe I don't care about the character too much. I think he's a nice guy, but yeah, being a nice guy isn't enough to like get me just a head over heel fans of you. But I like seeing Tom Aspinall fight. I just wish he'd handle things a little bit better and not just try to just play a victim all the time. But damn. But hey, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for listening to me. First video down. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day.